Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Mochi Olaiwola, and I'll be taking us tonight on creating sprint reports. Please remember our ground rules. Let's stay muted so that we don't interfere with the recording, and also let's keep our cameras off to avoid distracting others. Okay, so sprint report. For the purpose of this discussion tonight, we will be looking at the meaning of a sprint report. What are the content? What do you see in the sprint report? And then who are your audience? Who are your sprint reports meant for? And then we'll look at some samples that we have, just some brief samples with the content. Okay, so what is a sprint report? Is a summary document of what happened during the sprint. As you can see in the name, it says sprint report. So it's just a summary document, like I said, of the activities you carried out during the sprint. Just brief highlights of your sprint. That's what your sprint report is. Like I said, it gives a brief overview of the sprint. It covers, the main aspects, like I've said, the highlights, and it's straight to the point. Is divided into, small manageable sections for simplicity, so that your audience are not too bored and is not too cumbersome for them, because they just want a brief, like I said, report. They just want to see highlights of what it's all about, but it has to give meaningful information, to them. Okay. Your sprint report also is prepared in both text and charts, with text and chat information, for better understanding, and is submitted to relevant audience that we will see later on. And it's given out at the end of the sprint. So you don't submit a sprint report at the start of the sprint, because then you won't be able to give a summary. So it's done at the end of the sprint. So we want to look at the content of your sprint report. What are those things that make up your sprint report? We want to look at your project name. For instance, you would definitely put your project name on top: Ruby Emerald project, or Emerald team, Ruby team, or if it's Emerald project, you're able to put it there, Emerald project. No, your team is Emerald, but your project is Prep Major. Okay, so you might want to say Prep Major project to help the audience understand, okay, so what is this, report I'm looking about? What is it all about? What is the theme, or what is the subject matter? So you put that there. You also want to put your sprint name there. When we say sprint name, we're referring to the specific sprint that you're reporting on. So if it's your sprint 1, you will put that there to say it's sprint 1. And then it will also include your sprint period. Your sprint period is looking would be specific, like from Monday, I think Monday was 15th. Okay, so you will be saying something like from Monday the 15th to, for the internship, is to Sunday the date. But remember that in the workforce out there, you work Monday to Friday, and then you work some teams do weekly sprints, but most commonly you have 2 weekly sprints out there. So you want to put it from the start, the Monday, and to the end of that sprint, which is the Friday that ends that sprint. So that's the period of the sprint, and you'll be able to put that there. That's part of the content. And then you also put the sprint backlog item update. Okay, so your sprint backlog item updates are the stories that you've committed into sprint. You will list them out. You will also list the efforts on each of them. At the bottom, you put your total effort into that, and then you give a status. Where are those stories at the end of that sprint? So the ones that are completed, under where you have status, you're able to say either done or completed. The ones that are in progress, you're able to put there in progress, and as it goes along. So the ones that are in progress, also some people do on their report, they create about 4 columns. So where you have in progress, they will put a comment, you know, and then in another column, and then they're able to just give a brief information about that status, the one that says in progress. So if it's in progress, they can put a status like comments like at development stage or at testing stage, so that whosoever is looking at it will know why is that story in progress. So if you say at testing stage, if I'm reading it, I know that the development aspect has been done. It's just the testing aspect that is remaining and that was not completed during that particular sprint. Also, your sprint reports can also include your team's capacity, the team's capacity at the start of sprint, the team capacity at the end of sprint. Did you finish your capacity? Do you have capacity left at the end of sprint and all that? You're able to put that in also. And then you put the sprint highlight. Why you have the sprint highlight there is so that all the stories that you're not able to complete, maybe they're all in progress and all that, you give an highlight of why those stories are not completed. And like I said, highlight, you can just bullet point to say, oh, a complexity, a technical issue, a risk, a dependency from another team and all that, whatever created, that whatever causes that those stories not being completed, your stakeholders will want to know, because they're looking at it and they're saying, okay, so you guys committed to this, so why didn't you finish it? So those are the information that your sprints highlight, give to the reports, that gives more information to the audience that are seeing it, and they're able to understand why those stories, are not completed. You're also able to talk about any issues, again, might be issues you encounter during the sprint that might have affected work not being completed, or issues that you want the stakeholders to be aware of, because you need to carry them along. That's how you collaborate with them. So you state the issues, mitigating actions that have been put in place to resolve those issues and all that. You are putting all that in the report in order to carry them along, because you and the PO, your team, okay, your Scrum team are the ones, that have the daily updates and all that. This is how you update also the stakeholders who don't come to your daily stand-up anyway about the things that happened during that sprint. Okay. And then your metrics, you're able to show your metrics also, which definitely backs up all the other information that you've put in. So all the other information you've put in are the text format, and then your metrics are the graphical representation that you're showing with your report. So those shows your graphical representation, which gives a better understanding really to anybody reading that report. At times, when we write things in text at times and all that, because you are the one writing it, you are the one that went through that experience, or your team went through that experience. It might be easier for you to understand what you've written. But for an outsider reading that report, they might not be able to, fully comprehend what you're saying. But when they see a graphical representation through your metrics and all that, they're able to see, okay, so this is how the team works, what causes this delay here, and everything, which you would have explained in your issues. So you see, the graphical representation, it helps them to understand better what you're saying in the other segment or other section of the report. Okay, and then the review feedback update also, you were able to give that. So there was a review the previous sprint. There was a review that was carried out, remember? And then there was some feedback that was given. So maybe during the review, the stakeholder said, oh, this particular feature, I want you to, I'm not so happy with the way the logo is. It's too tiny, it's not sent properly on the website. Can you make it bigger? And they give you a specific kind of measurement of how they want it to look. Or I don't want it at the left hand top corner. Can you put it in the middle? Things like that and everything. You want to give that update in your report, in the next report, to say, oh, during the course of last sprint, there was this feedback that was given. We've been able to look at that. We've been able to, adjust that, going forward. The update has been done on the website. You can put it in words alone. You can put a screenshot for them to be able to see in the report, so that they know that, oh, okay, so yeah, this is an improvement on what I saw the other time. Definitely, you're still going to do a demo for them during the review, but it's also inside the review, inside the report. I'll tell you later on why you need to put it inside the report most times. Okay. So, and then you have an overview of the next sprint. Okay. So there's a section also where you're able to say, in the next sprint, this and this and this are what we're going to work on. If there is some spillover from this sprint that you're taking into the next sprint, you're able to put that information in to say, in the course of the next sprint, we'll be working on all the spillovers from this sprint, and then we'll be adding so to it. Okay, you'll be able to put that, and you're able to give them that information. Remember, your sprint report, like I said, is a report that you drop at the end of your sprint, and you're able to do that because you've done your refinement already. So the whole Scrum team with your PO, you know what is going into the next sprint. It has been discussed already, and that's why you can give that overview of the next sprint that you're going into. Okay, all right. So those are the contents of your sprint report. Now, just some few tips to create a good sprint report, just to give you some few tips. Okay, so the number of pages that your report includes matters a lot. Okay, so there is no a ground rule to say, oh, your sprint report has to be exactly 10 pages, has to be 20 pages and all that. But I want one thing I want to say is, let it not be more than 2 or 3 pages. And I'll tell you what, the person you're providing the report for, the stakeholders, they are busy. They've got loads of things to do. Imagine your reports going before a CEO and you've done 10 pages. The guy has loads of reports that he needs to go through. Yeah, he doesn't have time to go through 10 pages. And that is why you make it short, straight to the point, and less number of pages would be better so that he's able to capture everything, at if not at a go, but at a faster rate than when he sees. Imagine if somebody sends you a report and it's just full of wordings, paragraphs of 5 and 10 pages, and you don't even want to open it. It might end up just delegating it to somebody to say that, oh, just you just go through it and everything. And most times the problem you have with somebody else going through it is they are the ones that know what they want. Okay, so somebody else goes through it and comes back to you and say, oh, it's fine. Okay, so that's a delegate and also a stakeholder from your client's company, and they said it's fine and everything, and the project sponsor picks it, comes to a review. Let's assume he's able to come to a review, and they say, oh, hold on, what's going on? Why do you have that there and everything? And they're saying, oh, but your representative approves it and all that. If you've done the right thing and make sure that the number of your reports are short and straight to the point, you wouldn't have needed to delegate it in the first place, and you wouldn't be having that kind of coming back to something that should have been cleared in the first place. So you want to reduce the number of pages that your sprint report is. Another thing is the information you have on your sprint reports. Like I've said, the report you provide, it has to be both text and graphical representation, because it gives clear information. You see, when you use text alone and all that, and you're using some technical terms they don't understand, they keep questioning you, and it looks as if you've not done a good job. You have, but you're not passing that information to them. They're not grasping it the proper way, because like I said, they didn't work during the sprint. Yeah, those technical terms they don't understand. It's your own technical terms, they don't understand it. But when you give them visual representation, it helps them to understand better that thing that you're saying to them. Okay, so your information that you're giving has to be both, should be both text and charts, for better understanding. And then your report has to be clear, straight to the point, simple. No, no big words. There are times when we do reports, we want to use big words, we want to use big English, yeah, I don't know, for effect purpose and all that. But the people that are reading your reports, they don't have that time. They just want to understand, straight to the point and very simple. This is what you did, this is what you did, this is what you did. Sharp, straight to the point. That's what, and it has to be clear, because you don't want to have a situation where you're giving double meaning. Your information is ambiguous. You don't want to have that situation and all that. So that has to be there. And then the other tip that I want to give is, when you put them in, when you divide your report into sections. I've said it that maybe nothing more than 2 or 3 pages, but sectionalize it in such a way that it's understandable, it's manageable, and it's organized. You don't just move everything around and everything. You tell a story with your report. Like when I was going through the slide of the content, we started with the project name. We went to the sprint name, we went to the sprint period, the team members, their roles, their capacity and everything like that. So it tells a story as you're coming. You don't put the project name at the last section, and then you put the overview of the next sprint at the first session. You're able to arrange it properly, that it tells a straightforward story, is manageable, and is well organized. So those are the tips to create a very good sprint report. Okay, so who are the audience of a sprint report? You have your stakeholders at the audience of your sprint report. So your stakeholders, even though they come to the review, okay, they still want to keep record of the report of that sprint. It's their project, so they want to keep a record to say, maybe something to fall back on, to say, come on, there's a report you dropped during so sprint and everything, and I read this and this, so why are you saying this and this, in another sprint and all that. So they keep it. Another reason why you provide a report for your stakeholders is the one I've just spoken about. So let's assume the project sponsor normally comes to your review because he wants to review what has been done. But the particular time when you have that review, he has a conference to attend at Geneva, or anywhere in the whole world, and he can't be there. But he has delegated, he's called somebody, maybe his PA, or he's called his assistant, or the head of a unit in his organization that is, tied to that project, to say, okay, so you need to go and represent me, at this particular review and all that. And that person has come there. Maybe that's the first time he's coming there. It has always been the project sponsor that has always been attending the review. So he's come there and all that. You want to give him that report to take back to the project sponsor. Remember what I said earlier when I was just using an example that was actually real life. A representative came, a delegate from the project sponsor came because the project sponsor couldn't be in that meeting and all that. Took all the information, asked questions, to get clarity and everything and all that, was given the report and everything, left and, went back, reported back to the project sponsor that, oh yeah, we went there, they did this, they did this, they did that, and all that. Like I said, the project sponsor didn't actually read or went through that particular report. Okay, and then maybe the next review, now when she joined the next review, she saw some things that she wasn't, kind of happy about, and she was like, no, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. I don't want that to look like that. I don't want that to look like that, and things like that. The team, that particular Scrum team, were able to cover themselves because they provided a report, and all those things she's saying, oh, I don't want that, I don't want that, were provided in the report. So the blame now fell on her and our delegation, or our team, because the report was given to her, was sent to her by email, was also sent to the representative that came, and they could have looked at that before the next review. And then by the time she's saying, okay, this and everything and all that, she was actually trying to put the blame on the team, to say, oh, okay, so why did you do it this way? I thought the last time, da, 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 da. And they said, we gave a report. That update we actually provided. Imagine if they had not provided that review feedback update in that report. The blame would kind of come on them, but they did the right thing. They have it in record. They send it by email, so she couldn't say she didn't get it, and all those updates had been there. So she had used almost 2 weeks now to get back to them on something they've already, given to her, which she should have, reach out to them on. So that particular team had a meeting, and when they were having their retro, they looked at that situation and they said, okay, so going forward, how do we improve that process whereby we don't have, a comeback of that? And they all agree that even when she doesn't attend the meeting and they send the reports to her, that the PO should still reach out to her, at a later stage to say, have you seen the report? Have you gone through it? Is there any, feedback you want to give? Is there anything you're not happy about that report and all that, so that they don't have a reoccurrence of that? But even though they were covered, but they still had to improve their process, because this is a client that you're working for. And there is a saying that customers are always right and things like that and everything. And because they are an agile team, you have to respond to change. So it's not a conflict really, but there's an issue that they had to improve upon. Okay, going forward. So that's why you have a sprint report for your stakeholders and all that. Now, your product owner definitely also is another person that, that is an audience for your sprint report. Because even though he's part of everything, he gets an update of everything that happened during that sprint. He could use that report. Again, imagine if I'm going to use an example of the project sponsor again. If the project sponsor had not been there, yeah, and the PO meets with the project sponsor and all that, he's able to table that report, to kind of give that project sponsor or stakeholder an update concerning the past sprint, in order to deliberate on, okay, so is there anything apart from what you have there that you want us to take into the new sprint? Is there any changes? Is there anything that we need to, be to know about and all that? They're able to use that. So your product owner also keeps a copy of that for themselves, and also to kind of collaborate with any stakeholders that wasn't at the review meeting, or for any other meeting, really, not just because they're not at the review meeting. It could be because of any other reason that they are providing that report for them. And also for the team members themselves, the Scrum team themselves. So as your report, you keep it on your library, your wiki page, your Teams folder. You keep your reports there. And what that helps you to do is, not because the team members didn't know what went on during the sprint. Imagine you get a new team member, okay, that joined your team, and they just want to know, have a feel of everything that's going on. So you've onboarded them, because you're the Scrum Master. You will do the onboarding for them. You've done the onboarding for them, and then you will tell them that, oh, there are sprint reports on our wiki, in order for you to have a better understanding of the project that you're working on. So you've given them an overview of the project during the onboarding. This is what the project is all about. This is what we're doing currently. This is where we are and all that and everything. But you can also encourage them to look at the sprint reports, which gives them a better understanding of what has been done, what is being done now, and then maybe what is being planned, for future and all that. So that kind of person, when they join any meeting, the daily stand-up meeting or any meeting after they've joined the organization, they are able to quickly come on board. They're able to quickly get on the same level, understanding level, with the other team members. Okay, so those are the audience of your sprint report. Okay.
Hi, Taye. Thank you. So I will make you co-host now. So when you get to your, can you hear me? You can speak. So when you get back in, you will just start recording for yourself when you're ready to start. Once you share your screen, you can start recording. Is that okay? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Okay, you have to connect your audio. Okay, connected. Perfect. Unmute yourself. Okay. Oh, you've muted again.
Hello.
Hi. So basically, thank you for joining. So
No
you
problem at all.
his room right now. Thank God you'll be on point. So once you start, you shared your screen, just go and record. When you are done,
Okay.
you save it on your system, then you send it to me. Usually it goes to your documents. So
All right, no problem. Then I'll send it to you.
yeah, you can just forward it to me on Teams. The video,
All right.
the one that will be video, that's the one you forward to.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
All righty. See you later. Thank
See you
you.
later. Thank you.
Hi, Taye.
Hello, I had Dwight Ellis or
Elsie.
Elsie.
This is the second time we are doing internship together.
Oh, did you do the first one?
I was mentor in DA in the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, when you started the Tableau with this last set that just passed.
Sorry,
Finished.
cut it short. It's 9 on the dot. Do you want to jump into the DA call? You can have the conversation there, no problem. I don't know, but
Are we in the wrong place?
now you now click on breakout room. Click on breakout room.
Okay.
And then click on DA. I think the first one is DA. So you just click on join beside DA. Perfect.
So over here you can see 60% of the stories committed to sprint could not be completed due to the test environment being unstable. Okay, this was resolved a day to the end of the sprint. So that tells the stakeholder, oh, so that's why they couldn't complete it, because that unstable environment was resolved a day to the end of the sprint. So there was no way they could complete everything, they needed to do. That information, you've given it to them straight, straight to the point. And then the sprint highlight, you're able to list it here to say that, okay, so, just a brief highlight of the sprint. So committed to 41 efforts, we completed 18 efforts, because you're looking at the 18 that was completed here. Okay, and then 75% of the story in relation to pricing packages were completed. So you're giving them the feature, because they are looking at it, like I said, they look at it and they said, okay, so this and everything, but the highlight gives them clarity, kind of. So you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, so out of all the features that we've committed to sprint, the one that has to do with pricing packages and all that has been completed. Those ones add value. Those are the priority ones, and those are the ones the stakeholders want to hear about. That, oh, anything that has to do with price packaging, our end users are able to see it on the website, and that adds value to the product. So the users are able to look at the pricing package and order, or subscribe to the product and then make payment. Okay, so that adds value more than the sub menu, basic sub menu that just gives information and all that. They want, all the clients want is our customers to be able to see the price, and start buying. They want money to start coming in, and those are the ones you've done, you've dealt with as a team to say, okay, let's resolve that. That's why those are the ones that are, they are the priority, and those are the ones that were completed before the issue of the unstable environment started. Okay, and then it says all uncompleted story will spill over and be prioritized in the next sprint. So you've given them the information straight to the point to say, okay, so all this one, what will happen to this? You've given them all the highlights over here. Okay, and then we'll go to the next one. That's where your graphical representation of the sprint comes in. Yeah, and then you can see that your sprint burn down chart. It shows them what was committed initially. Later on, it increased, and then it stayed for some days like that with nothing being. I won't say nothing being done because work was done, but it wasn't going down. So the burn down chart, you should be able to explain your chart to them. So you're not just putting this chart there for them for fun. Okay, when you put it, you're able to explain it. Any information, any chart, any information that you can't explain fully, in your report, don't add it. Just don't add it, because by the time they ask you a question and you are not able to answer, then you look unprofessional, kind of. Okay, but you want to add that so that looking at this, they know, okay, so this was what happened during the sprint, that they were not able to complete what they needed to do. Okay, so it was 42% of what were committed to that they were able to do. And you can see from the previous one, it says 4 stories remaining. They come here and they're able to look at it. This tells them, okay, so those are the 4 that are remaining. And during this sprint and everything, there was a total scope increase of 3, and that's why you have it. This one up here is a total scope increase after the work has been committed to the sprint on the first day. The third day, there was a scope increase and everything. If they needed information on that scope increase, to say, oh, why did you increase that? If they were the ones that asked the PO, to commit new story into the sprint, you're able to talk about that. And this also helps in the sense that if over here they were the ones that added these two things and all that, they can look at things and say, okay, so maybe if we had left it at what they planned, they might have been able to finish everything before that website crashed. But because of the increase now, it increased what needed to be done, and a lot didn't get completed at the end. And that wasn't the only place where there was an increase. You can see an increase again over here. After work has been done up to here, there was an increase in story again over here, or effort. I think this chart is looking at story. That's why you have PBI here. If it's effort, if it has been configured with effort, you will have effort over there. And then over here, some few days to the end of spring, there was an increase again. And probably that was why everything was not, they're not able to complete it and all that. You're able to explain that. So when you're explaining it, you're giving them facts. But again, what you're showing them is, if you people keep bringing story in every time during the sprint, this is what we get. We might not be able to finish what we needed to do and all that. So you're not telling them, oh, so because you people put story in, you can see now we didn't finish. You're just being objective and being factual with the information that you're sending to them. But they would get, kind of the logic behind it. So this graphical representation gives them a better information, okay, of whatever you've been able to tell them. And then that's your velocity chart also. Again, it's PBI, not in effort. And then you're able to look at things that, okay, so as it is now, our velocity chart is saying that we can only work on an average velocity of 4. We can only take 4 PBIs to the next sprint. And that might be because, as you can see, at the time of this screenshot, that you can see that was what was committed to, but they couldn't complete it again because of what happened, the unstable website. That was why they were not able to complete it. Okay, so this chart, looking at it and looking at, because this tells you the performance of the team. If you look at it when they started, or at this particular point, they committed to about 9 PBIs, but they were able to do 4. So when they were going to go into the next sprint, yeah, they reduced it. They didn't do 9 again, because obviously it tells them that with your capacity, you need to reduce. So, but they didn't bring it down to the 4 that they were able to complete. They increased it to 5. So when they put 5 in, they were able to do 2. Again, don't look at it that, oh, they were lazy, they weren't doing anything. That's why it was that. There might be any factor that is, that resulted in this. It could be, again, another unstable environment or another technical or complex issue that resulted in that. And then going to the next sprint, they increased it again more than what they committed to the previous sprint. They were able to do more than the previous sprint, but again, they didn't do much. They weren't able to complete much. Okay. And then I think the only sprint where they were able to complete everything they committed into the sprint was just this one, the second to the last one, that they were able to complete that. Okay. So that's another chart that you can use to speak to your team members to say, if the PO says, oh, I want us to, take 10 stories in, and you're looking at your average velocity saying 4. So you can use that to negotiate with your PO. That's a chart you can use to show the PO, and then use that to negotiate with the PO to say, with the way at which we're working and the capacity with which we're working with. If we take in the 10 stories that you're talking about, if we don't follow what the chart is saying, we'll be overwhelming the team. And at the end of the day, we won't be able to complete what we're taking into sprint. And it won't help us, to improve our performance going forward. We don't want the same issue, where we plan so much and we're able to do less. So going forward, can we just keep to the average velocity? So if the average velocity is 4, you can bargain, because you're trying to drop from the 10 to the 4. You can say, oh, let's just take 5 in. Let's see how we work. If we're able to finish before the end of sprint and we have capacity, we would, take more in. We'll deliberate together, and then we'll be able to take more in. So you're able to follow your velocity, because your velocity is telling you real time what is going on, within the team. And then this is the review feedback update that I was talking about. So if at the previous feedback meeting, there was some feedback that were given that there are some adjustment needed to be done. This is where you give the feedback. Okay, so over here you can see request to change landing page banner to moving images has been carried out. So that PO was able to say, oh, I don't want a static landing page banner. Okay, I want a moving one with maybe different images, and they've been able to say, oh, we've carried that out, just as you said. Another one says request to change footer background color to royal blue is pending, awaiting further clarification, because you have different colors of blue. Maybe over here they've sent a message to the PO or the stakeholder that is meant to provide them with their actual color, so that they're giving them the code color. So the stakeholders have said, oh, I don't want that color. I prefer royal blue and all that. And maybe they've sent some different color codes to the stakeholder in order to get, and you can see the information there to say, we've not done that because we're expecting further clarification from you, or for maybe whosoever is in charge, to give them that color. So they're able to give that information over there. And then you have an overview of sprint 11. So that's sprint 10, and then you're giving them an overview of sprint 11 to say, okay, going to sprint 11, this is what we plan to do. Complete stories on sample event menu and sub menu on the header. So those are the ones that were not completed, and then they want to create multiple payment gateway, because they've done the pricing packages now. So when the user picks the pricing packages, they want to pay. Okay, and so they want to create multiple payment gateways. So those are the features they want to work on going into the next sprint. So it is looking at it now, it looks as if it's just 2-story. No, this is just saying this is our goal, okay, in the next sprint that we're going to. So stories that tallies with this goal in sprint 11 are what they're going to commit to. So the stakeholders are aware, and the stakeholders are carried along, and the stakeholders are able to confirm that, okay, yeah, fine, that's what we want you to work on, which definitely the PO had confirmed with the stakeholders and has told the team members, and that's why they are putting it on the report also, to let them know that, okay, so this is what you people agree on for us to work on in the next sprint. Okay, and that report is provided for the team or for the stakeholders. Okay, so basically that's what your sprint report is. Now, before I allow questions, please, it's just a consideration to let you know that it is not cast in stone, okay, that it has to be exactly like this. So a project, the project you're working on, the team you're working with, your stakeholder determines what you put. But basically, these are the things you want to put, and then just give them information that is in relation to the project, in relation to the project framework, the framework that the team is using, and in relation to the team composition also. So you're able to give them this information. But like I said, it's not cast in stone that it has to be exactly like this, but this is just the basic one that you want to give to your audience. So that's it for creating reports. Do we have any questions? Allow me, before we go to the questions, you can stop the recording. Thank you.